This video is for Dawn at Tapestry. I read your paper. I just finished reading your paper this morning, and like I was saying in my email last night after the part that I had read earlier, I think you did a great job, and I continue to think that the entire paper is excellent. It definitely is representative of our story, or at least what I experienced of our story in the consultation. And actually, it helped me see some of what others were communicating that I wasn't necessarily hearing as clearly over the phone lines from between Detroit and New York. But any case, I do have some things to add or amend or this kind of a thing. First of all, I obviously the Blackfoot spelling of some words. So I noticed 4 words that need some spelling assistance, and one of those was Makuyohsoko, the wolf trail. The way that's spelled is Makoyohsoko. Makuyohsoko. And then there was Psalmists. When Francis was talking about the medicines, that would be Saamistsi. Psalmists. And if you can put the little accent toward the end of the series of A's at the beginning to make that pitch rise, Psalm, that'd be cool, but it's not a big deal. What was the other ones? Oh yeah, toward the end, Narcissus was talking about the main inquiry. What are you doing? And so what his relatives, his aunts and uncles, would ask him would have been Kitakisp, Kitakihpa. Kitakisp, what are you doing? And then the other one where he just states this is this is our main inquiry. It would be Aikiwa. Akio. What is he or she doing? So those are the Blackfoot spellings. Of course, there was the introduction. You needed an introduction from me, which I'm not really sure how we should go about it, because I normally introduce myself differently in different kind of contexts. So out here, if I'm speaking to Blackfoot people, I normally say, if they don't know me very well or don't know me at all, I might say, Nistoa nako akayo kaki, nitsapin ska sim Ryan Heavyhead. Naachsanista ponokaksiksinam nitakiach seipiaki. Nach ponokaksiksinam otani noch pokapim. Nitstapo takimi mikeistu itasksinamatstukiyop. So this is what I'm saying there is my name is Akayo Kaki, and that would be Akayo apostrophe Kaki, Akayo Kaki, which translates as many. It's really hard to translate into English, but the best way is like many wardings off or many shieldings. What it is that it's talking about that. It's a reference to the way that bison would defend against wolves, and if a wolf pack is targeting a particular bison, some of the others of the group might charge the wolf when it's getting close and kind of steer it away. It's that action of steering away the danger that I'm named after, and I'm named after doing that many times. And there's a part in the Sundance ceremony here where the members of the Horn Society, who are moving like the bison, do this outside of the encampment to ward off anything that might be trying to hurt or be trying to attack the people who live in the encampment, and spiritually defending them. And so the man who named me was the late Adam Delaney, Mamiokakik, and his Blackfoot name translates as fish backbone, but he was the leader of the Horns for 13 years, and so he named me after the 13 times that he participated in that dance to spiritually protect the people. So yeah, I'll say, normally I'll say Nistona Kokakayo Kaki. My name is Akayo Kaki. And then I'll say Nitsapin Scott Simrayan Heavyhead. My white name is Ryan Heavyhead. And then I'll usually say Nachs Anistaponakak Sinam, that my male elder is Bonokak Sinam, white elk, who everybody here knows as Martin Heavyhead. And then I'll say Netakiach Seipiaki, that my female elder is Seipiaki, a charging woman, who everybody here knows as Pam Heavyhead. And Nachbonokak Sinamo Tani Bibiaki Nochbokopima, that Martin's daughter Bibiaki, which translates as baby girl, Nochbokopima, I stay with her, so we're married. And then I'll usually say, I used to say, not anymore, but that I work at Red Crow College. But yeah, obviously I don't work at Red Crow College anymore. But yeah, that's typically here how I would introduce myself, but that's because people know Martin and Pam, and so part of the introduction is just to frame, who I am. I might say Nitsiach Gimi, which I'm a beaver bundle caretaker, as part of my introduction. And if I'm introducing myself to a group of strangers that are not really from this community, I might still tell them that my Blackfoot name is Akayo Kaki. My other name is Ryan Heavyhead. I'm a caretaker of the beaver bundle, and I'm a lifetime naturalist. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really I try not to box myself into a lot of categories and stuff, but anyway, sometimes if I'm putting together something for a academic presentation, or one of the presentations that Narcissus and I would do, if they wanted a little abstract of who I am, I would usually say, I'm a Akayo Kaki Ryan Heavyhead, the director of Ghana Studies at Red Crow College. Now I guess you could just mention the M06 Institute of Blackfoot Learning, caretaker of the Beaver Bundle, and a prominent naturalist in Alberta. What else would I normally say about myself? Might mention that I have a history of working repatriations, and sometimes I'll mention that I have academic credentials, but I don't know. All these secondary categories are not really my identity anyway. I'm just a human being, hopefully. I mean, that's the artistic project I'm engaged in, is just trying to be a human being. So, the artistic and cultural project. So yeah, I don't know. You want to see what you can fashion from that, or do you need me to give it a go on paper? What are the other things that I saw? Oh yes. When it first mentions the caretaking of the beaver bundle, I think in there you said that it represents the treaty, the first treaty with the human beings, between the human beings and the animals. And I would never use the word represents myself. I typically say it's the embodiment of that treaty. And that goes back to something I think that comes up later in the paper too, around the late page maybe 48 or 49 or something, if I remember right. But in there somewhere, there was some discussion about representation and virtual representation and this kind of a thing. And I wasn't really part of that discussion, but I could have definitely contributed at that point. That might have been some of the discussion that went on that I either wasn't privy to or just didn't hear correctly or what have you. But plus it might have been on the second day when I was pretty drained, I think. But any case, yeah, the whole idea about representation, you know, when I look at the beaver bundle, I don't see it as a representing, like a symbol of anything. I think it's more the embodiment of that treaty. It's the actual thing. Narcissus used to talk about the man who gave me my Blackfoot name, Mamiokakik, and the late Adam Delaney, and he noted that Adam used to, in some of the ceremonies, Adam used to hold up a braid of sweetgrass when he's leading the ceremonies, and he'd tell the people there, this sweetgrass is not a symbol of anything. This is the original. It doesn't stand for anything. It doesn't represent anything. The sweetgrass is itself, and the beaver bundle is that same way. It doesn't stand for anything. It is the embodiment of it. It is the physical being that's alive, that's been carried through since the treaty was made. It is the physical embodiment of that treaty. And I guess it's the difference between a metaphor and a metonym. You know, a metaphor might be linked to something based on a similitude, whereas a metonym is a part for whole relationship. And so there's a connection, right? There's a connection by way of contagion with metaphor that doesn't, or with metonym that doesn't happen with metaphor. And so the beaver bundle is definitely metonym. Another example that Narcissus used to use, he had seen this film documentary. He never said the name of it, but he said these guys were studying along the equator, and they went to this tribe, and the tribe was supposed to have this special drawing that was right on the equator. And so they asked the tribal elders if they could go to see this drawing, and the elders conferred, and they didn't really want to bring them, but they finally said that they would. But if they did, they said you can only look, you know, at it briefly, and then we have to leave. So they agreed to do that, and they went to where it was, and what it was a drawing of the sun, and it was right on the equator, like exactly on the equator. And they were looking at it, and then the elders said, "Okay, we have to go now." And the people that were filming the documentary were like, "Well, okay, you know, why the rush?" And they said, "Well, you can't look at the sun that long, and you'll go blind." And they were kind of mocking the elders on the film privately, you know, that they're superstitious, that they think, you know, you go blind by looking at a image of the sun. But the point was that image was not ever meant to be understood the way that a metaphor or symbol is understood, as having a representation that's based on similitude. It's instead an actual embodiment of the sun, and so you can't look at it very long without going blind. That was the point, right? So this is the way it is with the beaver bundle. So I would not talk about it as a representation. I would talk about it as an embodiment of the treaty, as the living embodiment, and it continues to grow, like we talked about with new facets and knowledge coming in and entering the Orthodox system. It's through by way of the beaver bundle, so new things can continue to come into that treaty, into the body of that treaty, as more animals contribute to our adjustment to living here. So that's some stuff to think about. So I don't know if you want to, not only change that wording to embodiment, but also back toward page 48 or 49, if you want to include any of those examples from Narcissus. I think that would also be appropriate. It's up to you, but I think it fits in the conversation that's occurring at that point. Hey, mister. Hey, mister, what are you doing? What are you doing? See if I can get him to say it for you. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, mister? Yeah, he's not in talkie mode. Anyway, I think that was all I had to say about the paper. But I think it's great. I think you did a really good job telling our story, and thank you for your hard work. And I look forward to the finished copy. I want to see what Dr. Gordon has to say. But I think it's great. I think it's an excellent report. So I appreciate your work on it, Dawn.